The shuttle thrummed as it approached the landing bay, its vibrations humming in Nathan Harper's boots. Through the viewport, Clercia Station came into view, an immense, spiraling construct of transparent alloys and pulsing energy fields. It wasn't Nathan's first time off Earth, but the sheer scale of Clercia, combined with its reputation as the nerve center of galactic diplomacy, gave him a sense of both anticipation and unease. "It looks like a jellyfish crossed with a skyscraper," grumbled Lieutenant Alex Mendoza from the seat next to him. "You sure they won't just throw us in a holding cell the second we step off this thing?" "Only if you insult their architecture," Nathan replied dryly. "We're here to play nice. Let's not embarrass humanity on day one." Alex chuckled, but the tension in his posture didn't ease. The two of them had been handpicked for this mission: Nathan, a seasoned diplomat and former Navy officer; Alex, a brilliant but sarcastic engineer whose work with experimental starship drives had earned him a place on the team. Their job was to establish humanity's presence in the Galactic Council, to show that Earth could contribute more than just raw materials and the occasional military contract. The docking clamps engaged with a metallic clang, and the shuttle's hatches hissed open. As they stepped onto Clercia's polished floors, Nathan took a moment to absorb the scene. The station's interior was a mesmerizing blend of organic shapes and precise angles. Alien species he'd only read about in briefing reports moved about in their natural forms: Kilteens gliding on tentacles, Norvolans refracting light through crystalline exoskeletons, Tyvrim fluttering their plumage as they conversed in trilling tones. All eyes turned toward the two humans. "Welcome to Clercia, envoys of Earth." The voice was smooth, the tone diplomatic, but the speaker's appearance was anything but human. Standing before them was a Tyvrim female, her feathers a muted blue-gray, her eyes large and intelligent. She carried herself with a calm assurance that immediately put Nathan on guard. "I am Jalia. I will serve as your liaison." "Lieutenant Commander Nathan Harper," he said, extending a hand out of habit. Jalia stared at it for a moment, then placed her three-fingered hand lightly in his. Her grip was firm but brief. "Lieutenant Alex Mendoza," Alex added, offering a casual nod instead. He didn't bother with his hand, likely having caught the slight awkwardness of Nathan's gesture. "Your arrival is noted, Commander Harper," Lieutenant Mendoza, Jalia said, turning to lead them. "The Council appreciates your cooperation in these delicate times." "Delicate?" Alex whispered as they followed her down a curved hallway that seemed to twist with the station's slow rotation. "She makes it sound like we're walking into a powder keg." "She's not wrong," Nathan murmured back. "Clercia isn't just a meeting ground. It's where alliances form and fall apart. We'll need to tread carefully." As they walked, Jalia's voice drifted back to them. "You will find Clercia's protocols straightforward. Your quarters are prepared, and the initial briefing with the Council will occur tomorrow. Until then, I advise you to remain within the designated sectors for new envoys." "Understood," Nathan said. "And thank you." Her head tilted slightly, feathers shifting in what might have been acknowledgement. They reached a section of the station lined with translucent panels that shimmered faintly. Jalia gestured toward one. "This will be your suite. It is configured for human comfort. If you require anything else, contact the station's central interface." "Will you be joining us for the briefing?" Nathan asked. "I will attend as a liaison," she replied. "My role is to ensure that Earth's interests are clearly represented. Beyond that, I must remain impartial." Nathan nodded. "We appreciate your guidance, Jalia." She hesitated for the briefest moment, as if considering a reply, then turned and walked away. The door to their suite slid open soundlessly, and the two men stepped inside. The space was clean, efficient, and larger than Nathan had expected. It was clear the station had gone to some effort to accommodate them. Alex dropped into one of the chairs and let out a long breath. "So, what's the plan, fearless leader? Charm the Council? Wow them with our human ingenuity?" Nathan sat down across from him. "It's not just about making friends. We need to find out what they want from us, what they fear, and what they're hiding. The Council brought us here for a reason. They didn't just invite humanity out of the goodness of their hearts." "Great," Alex muttered. A diplomatic scavenger hunt. Hope you're better at this than you were at poker in officer school. Nathan allowed himself a small grin. I'll manage. Despite the banter, Nathan knew Alex had a point. The council was notoriously opaque, and Clersh's political landscape was a labyrinth. They needed to be sharp, observant, and prepared for anything. But for now, Nathan was content to take a moment, gather his thoughts, and prepare for the challenges ahead. Little did he know that Jalia's role would prove far more complex than just a liaison, and that their time on Clersha would test not only their diplomatic skills, but also their ability to navigate a world of unspoken rules, hidden agendas, and connections that defied logic. The station itself seemed to hum with secrets, and Nathan could feel the weight of them pressing down as the door slid shut behind them. Do you think they're actually afraid of us? Alex asked, leaning against a curved wall of the station's observation deck. Below, the kaleidoscope of Clersha Station's promenade stretched out, species from across the galaxy moving through the market stalls, their languages a mingling hum. Nathan stood nearby, gazing out at the distant swirl of stars. They're not afraid of us, Nathan said. They're afraid of change. Humans are an unknown quantity. We don't fit into their neat little system. And the whole thing about not singing? Alex's voice carried a tone of disbelief. A little song and dance and they lose their minds? Nathan smirked. It's not about the music itself. It's what it represents: emotion, memory, rebellion. They've spent centuries quashing anything that stirs up strong feelings. They think it keeps things stable. Stable and boring, Alex muttered, then grinned. Maybe I should start humming some Sinatra, just to see what happens. Let's not cause an incident on our first day. Alex pushed off the wall, strolling toward Nathan. You've been quiet since the briefing this morning. What's up? Nathan crossed his arms. I was watching Jalia during that meeting. She didn't say much, but I could tell she was paying close attention. She's sharp. You think she's playing us? No, Nathan said slowly. I think she's trying to figure out where we stand. If she wanted to sabotage us, she could have done it already. Instead, she's curious. Alex tilted his head. Curious? She's not a lab scientist, Nathan. She's a council flunky. Maybe she doesn't want to be, Nathan said, more to himself than to Alex. Maybe she's stuck playing their game because it's the only way to survive. Alex frowned, watching Nathan closely. You've got a bad habit of seeing the best in people. Nathan turned to him with a faint smile. And you've got a bad habit of assuming the worst. Before Alex could respond, the door to the observation deck slid open. Jalia stepped inside, her taloned feet making no sound against the polished floor. Her sharp gaze flicked between the two humans. Am I interrupting? She asked. Not at all, Nathan said smoothly. Just enjoying the view. She stepped closer, her crest feathers shifting. The view can be deceptive. From up here, everything seems peaceful. Orderly. But if you look closer, you'll see the cracks. Cracks? Alex asked, feigning ignorance. I thought the council kept everything perfectly in line. Jalia gave him a measured look. That's what they want everyone to believe. But order imposed from above is fragile. It doesn't take much to upset it. Nathan leaned forward slightly. Is that why they're so adamant about silencing music? Her eyes narrowed. Who told you about that? Word gets around, Alex said casually. Jalia hesitated, then sighed. The council views certain expressions of art as dangerous. Music, poetry, visual art that stirs too much emotion, they consider it a risk. They say it leads to dissent, to unrest. And you agree? Nathan asked. Her feathers flared slightly, then settled. It's not my place to agree or disagree. My duty is to ensure the council's directives are followed. Alex snorted. Sounds like a nice way of saying you have no choice. She didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she turned her attention back to Nathan. You're here to represent humanity. If you follow the rules, you'll have a chance to prove that Earth deserves a place in the galactic community. If you don't. We're not looking to make enemies, Nathan said. But humanity won't thrive by staying silent. If we're going to contribute, we have to be able to express ourselves. That's part of who we are. Jalia studied him, her expression unreadable. That may be true, but it's not my decision. You'd be wise to consider the consequences before defying the council. Good advice, Nathan said, though his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. We'll keep that in mind. She nodded once, then turned to leave. As the door closed behind her, Alex shook his head. She's a piece of work. She's under a lot of pressure, Nathan said. And I think she's more conflicted than she lets on. Or she's just really good at playing both sides. Nathan didn't respond. Instead, he walked back to the viewport and stared out at the stars. Alex joined him after a moment, and they stood there in silence, both pondering the delicate balance they would need to strike on Clercia. So, tell me again why we're here, exactly. Alex's voice carried a faint edge as he looked around the empty corridor. The lights overhead hummed softly, casting a bluish hue on the smooth walls. Nathan tapped a finger against his datapad, scanning through the reports they'd been given. Because I want to know why the power grid is getting rerouted to a section of the station that's supposedly off-limits, Nathan replied, not looking up. And because you're the only person who can tell me if it makes any sense. Alex crossed his arms. You know this is how people end up in holding cells, right? Poking around where we don't belong, asking questions that make the council nervous. Since when did you start worrying about consequences? Nathan said with a faint smirk. I thought you liked breaking a few rules now and then. Breaking rules back home is one thing, Alex muttered. Breaking them here, on a station run by aliens who think music is a rebellion waiting to happen? That's a whole different game. Before Nathan could respond, Jalia appeared at the far end of the corridor. Her feathers shifted subtly as she approached, her expression unreadable. I assume you have a good reason for being here, she said. Just taking a look around, Nathan replied casually. Something wrong with that? She stopped a few feet away, glancing at Alex, then back at Nathan. There are places on Clercia that are restricted for good reason. If the council discovers you've been, they'll do what? Nathan interrupted. File a formal complaint? We're not here to cause trouble, Jalia. We're here to figure out why the council brought us in the first place. You know something's not adding up. Jalia's gaze remained steady. What exactly do you think isn't adding up? Nathan held up his datapad. Power rerouted to a sealed section. No explanation in the official logs. And before you say it's routine maintenance, I checked. No maintenance records for the past 5 cycles. Jalia sighed, her feathers flattening slightly. You should let this go. There's a reason it's not in the records. Alex raised an eyebrow. And that reason is? She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at Nathan again. I'm warning you. If you keep digging, you may not like what you find. Nathan's expression hardened. Maybe I'm not the only one who doesn't like it. Maybe you know something you're not telling us. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't deny it. You're new here. You don't understand the consequences of. Then help us understand, Nathan pressed. You say you're our liaison. Act like it. Tell us what's going on. Jalia hesitated, her gaze flicking to Alex, then back to Nathan. For a moment, she seemed to wrestle with something unspoken. Then she straightened, feathers shifting slightly as if she'd made a decision. Fine. But not here. Nathan exchanged a glance with Alex. Where? Follow me. She turned and started down the corridor, her steps quick and purposeful. Nathan and Alex trailed behind her, their curiosity mixed with a sense of foreboding. Jalia led them to a small chamber off the main thoroughfare. The room was dimly lit, with a large console that hummed quietly in the center. She locked the door behind them and turned to face the 2 humans. This isn't just about power reroutes, she said. It's about control. Nathan frowned. What kind of control? Jalia's feathers rippled as if she were choosing her words carefully. The council maintains its authority by limiting information. By restricting certain knowledge. It's why music, art, and certain histories are suppressed. They believe that too much individuality, too much emotion, leads to disorder. Sounds like a dystopia, Alex muttered. Jalia shot him a sharp look. It's not that simple. Many of the species in the council are survivors of catastrophic wars, collapses of their civilizations. They think stability requires certain sacrifices. That's the official reasoning, at least. And the unofficial reason? Nathan asked. Jalia hesitated, then lowered her voice. Power. The council's core members have been in control for centuries. They fear anything that could shift the balance. Humanity's arrival is destabilizing. Because we're unpredictable? Nathan guessed. Because you're different, Jalia said. You don't have the same long history with the council. You haven't been shaped by their rules and restrictions. They're not sure how to contain you. Nathan nodded slowly. So they keep us out of certain areas, cut us off from certain knowledge. But you think it's more than that? Jalia's feathers flared slightly, then settled. I think there are secrets here they don't want anyone, not just humans, to uncover. And I think they're using this station to test certain things. Things they don't want on record. Sounds like you don't agree with what they're doing, Alex said. Jalia gave him a sharp look. My agreement or disagreement is irrelevant. I'm telling you this because you need to understand what you're up against. If you push too hard, you could jeopardize humanity's position here. Nathan crossed his arms. We didn't come here to just follow orders and stay in line. We came to make a difference. And if that means challenging the status quo, so be it. Jalia stepped closer, her voice dropping. If you challenge the status quo without understanding the full scope of what's at stake, you could undo everything you're trying to achieve. Nathan met her gaze. Then help us understand. Work with us. Her feathers shifted again, a sign of inner conflict. I'll think about it, she said finally. But you have to promise me one thing. What? Nathan asked. No more wandering into restricted areas. Not until we have a plan. Nathan nodded. Fair enough. But if we're going to do this, we need to trust each other. Jalia hesitated, then extended one of her three-fingered hands. Nathan reached out and shook it, feeling the strange texture of her skin. Alex grinned. Well, that's progress. Jalia turned toward the door. I'll contact you when I have more information. Until then, stay out of trouble. As she left, Alex leaned against the console, looking at Nathan. You trust her? She's taking a risk by talking to us, Nathan said. That counts for something. Sure, Alex said. But it doesn't mean she won't sell us out if it gets her in too deep. Nathan glanced at the door Jalia had just passed through. We'll see. For now, let's focus on figuring out what's really going on. Alex nodded, though his expression remained cautious. If this blows up in our faces, I'm blaming you. Nathan managed a small smile. I wouldn't expect anything less. Commander Harper, please take a seat. Nathan stepped into the council chamber, the vast domed ceiling making the circular room feel both majestic and oppressive. The air was heavy, not with humidity, but with expectation. Around the perimeter, the delegates from the various member species observed in stony silence. Their forms varied, some shimmering in light, others imposing in sheer bulk, but their gazes were unified, fixed on him. Jalia was already in the room, standing near the council's central dais. Her expression was unreadable, though Nathan noticed a subtle tension in the way her feathers lay flat against her neck. Nathan approached, stopping just short of the center platform. What's this about? A Tyvrim elder, taller than Jalia and draped in flowing metallic cloth, stepped forward. His name, Nathan recalled from the briefing notes, was Isher Calvin. His voice was measured, smooth, and deliberately slow. Commander Harper, we have received troubling reports about your activities aboard this station. Nathan didn't flinch. If you're referring to my movements, I've been gathering information to ensure humanity's contribution to the Council is meaningful. You have been trespassing in restricted areas, Isher said. You have been making inquiries that disrupt established protocols. This behavior is unacceptable. Alex, who had been standing behind Nathan, crossed his arms. We weren't trespassing. We were investigating. There's a difference. Isher's sharp, avian eyes shifted to Alex. The difference is one of intent, not action. The Council's boundaries are not to be questioned. Nathan glanced at Alex, signaling for him to step back. I understand the Council's need for order, he said, focusing on Isher again. But it's in everyone's interest to share knowledge. Cooperation benefits us all. There was a murmur among the delegates, but Isher silenced it with a raised hand. Humanity's place here is conditional. Your status remains provisional. It would be wise to avoid further infractions. What exactly is it that you don't want us to see? Nathan asked, his voice calm but firm. The silence that followed was palpable. The delegates exchanged brief, unreadable looks, but Isher remained focused on Nathan. This is not a discussion about transparency, Commander Harper. It is a warning. Further breaches will not be tolerated. Jalia stepped forward then, her voice carrying a note of urgency. Commander, I must advise you to heed the Council's directives. Any further violations could lead to severe repercussions, not just for you, but for Earth's standing as well. Nathan turned to her. You told me to understand what we're up against. I'm trying to do just that. Her feathers flared slightly before settling. And I told you to proceed cautiously. This station is not as stable as it appears. Then why? You will find yourself removed from this station. Nathan held his ground, his posture straight. Understood. But my mission is to represent humanity, not just follow orders. I hope the Council can respect that. The Elder's feathers shifted slightly, as if he were considering a retort, but then he gestured toward the exit. This session is concluded. Nathan nodded once, then turned and walked out, Alex at his side. As they moved down the corridor, Alex muttered under his breath. We're so getting kicked off this station. They won't do that, Nathan replied. Not yet. Alex shot him a skeptical look. You sound awfully sure for someone who just got chewed out by the Space Senate. They need us as much as we need them, Nathan said. We're a wild card, and that makes us valuable. Sure, Alex said, smirking. Just keep telling yourself that when they lock us in a brig. Later that evening, Nathan found Jalia in the station's lower levels. She stood near a wide window that overlooked the core of Clercia, a swirling mass of light and energy that powered the entire structure. When she heard him approach, she didn't turn. I assume you came to scold me, she said quietly. Actually, Nathan replied, I came to thank you. Jalia glanced at him, her feathers shifting slightly. Thank me? For what? For speaking up, he said. I know you didn't have to. She let out a soft sigh. I'm not sure it did any good. The Council is set in its ways. They see humanity as a disruption, not an asset. Maybe. But it means something that you spoke up. It means you're willing to question things, even if you can't say it outright. Her gaze returned to the glowing core. You're relentless, Commander Harper. You keep pushing, even when the odds are against you. Why? Nathan joined her by the window. Because humanity didn't get this far by giving up. We adapt. We innovate. And we keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. Jalia was silent for a moment. That kind of determination, it's rare here. Most of the species in the Council have been locked into their roles for so long, they've forgotten how to challenge the status quo. Maybe that's why they find you so dangerous. I'm not trying to be dangerous, Nathan said. I'm trying to be honest. I think you understand that. She turned to look at him, her sharp eyes searching his. Perhaps I do. Their conversation was interrupted by a faint hum from her communicator. Jalia glanced at it, then sighed. I have to go. The council is calling another session. Nathan nodded. Go. Do what you have to. As she left, Nathan stayed by the window, staring into the core's endless swirl. He didn't know what the next day would bring, but he knew one thing for certain: he wasn't done challenging the council. Not yet. The hearing chamber was silent, except for the faint hum of the station systems and the occasional rustle of movement from the assembled delegates. Nathan Harper stood at the center of the room, aware that every eye was on him, each face a mask of curiosity, suspicion, or outright hostility. Jalia stood off to the side, her usual calm demeanor betrayed by the subtle twitch of her feathers. Nathan had seen her in countless meetings, always composed, always diplomatic, but now she looked like she was bracing for something she couldn't control. Commander Harper, began Isher Calvin, the senior council elder, his voice sharp and deliberate. You have been accused of violating the council's protocols on numerous occasions. This hearing is to determine whether your continued presence here serves the interests of the Galactic Assembly. Nathan straightened. With all due respect, Elder Calvin, I've been trying to serve those interests from the moment I arrived. Humanity came here to contribute, to share our knowledge and perspective, not to be kept in the dark. A murmur ran through the audience. The Norvillan delegate, a tall figure whose crystalline body refracted the chamber's light, spoke next. Your contributions are not in question, Commander Harper. It is your methods that trouble us. Unauthorized access to restricted sectors, inquiries into classified projects, these actions suggest a disregard for our authority. Nathan's jaw tightened. If I've overstepped, it's only because the information I need has been kept deliberately hidden. You can't expect us to integrate into this community if you continue to treat us as outsiders. Another delegate, a Kilteen with a flowing, cephalopod-like body, joined in. Integration requires cooperation, not defiance. Perhaps humans are not ready for such responsibilities. Nathan opened his mouth to respond, but Jalia spoke first. Elders Rylak, I would argue that Commander Harper's actions stem from a desire to understand and engage, not from defiance. Humans are new to our system, yes, but they bring a perspective that can strengthen the council if given the chance. Her words hung in the air, a rare moment of open support. The chamber fell quiet, and for a brief moment, Nathan felt a flicker of relief. But Isher's next words cut through the silence like a blade. Liaison Jalia, your loyalty to the council is not in question. However, this hearing is not about opinions. It is about facts. And the fact is that Commander Harper's repeated infractions cannot go unaddressed. Nathan met Isher's gaze. What exactly do you want from us? Silence? Submission? We came here to be part of something bigger, to share what we have. But every step we take is met with resistance. If you truly believe in cooperation, then prove it. Let us contribute in a meaningful way. Isher's feathers shifted slightly, his gaze narrowing. Commander Harper, your passion is noted. But passion without discipline leads to chaos. The council cannot function under such circumstances. Before Nathan could respond, Alex Mendoza spoke up from the gallery. So what are you going to do? Kick us out for asking questions? Real nice welcome you've got here. The chamber stirred again, whispers running through the crowd. Isher's sharp glare landed on Alex. You are not authorized to speak. Alex leaned back in his chair, smirking. Guess I just did. Nathan shot him a look. Not helping, Alex. Just saying, Alex muttered, crossing his arms. These guys could use a reality check. Jalia stepped forward again, her tone calm but firm. Perhaps we should consider that humanity's approach, while unconventional, reflects their unique perspective. If we push them out now, we lose the opportunity to learn from their differences. Isher stared at her for a long moment before speaking. Liaison Jalia, you have served this council with distinction. Your opinion will be taken under advisement. Nathan's gaze flicked to her, then back to Isher. We're not here to cause chaos. We're here to build bridges. But if you keep shutting us out, we can't do that. The council has the power to change that. The question is, will you? The chamber fell into silence once more. Isher seemed to weigh Nathan's words carefully, his feathers settling into a smooth, even pattern. Finally, he spoke. The council will deliberate on these matters and deliver its decision within the cycle. Commander Harper, until then, you are ordered to cease any further unauthorized activities. Nathan nodded, though his jaw remained tight. Understood. Isher gestured toward the exit. This hearing is adjourned. As the delegates began to disperse, Nathan turned to Jalia. Thank you for speaking up. She tilted her head slightly, her feathers shifting. You took a risk by confronting them so directly. I wasn't going to let you face it alone. Alex joined them, his usual smirk replaced by a more serious expression. Well, that went better than I expected. No one got arrested, at least. Nathan let out a dry laugh. Yet. Jalia's gaze lingered on Nathan. They're not used to being challenged. You've unsettled them. But sometimes, unsettling things can lead to progress. Let's hope so, Nathan said quietly. Because if we can't find a way to work together, this whole mission could fall apart. The three of them stood there for a moment, an unlikely alliance forged in a place where alliances were fragile at best. Nathan knew they weren't out of danger, but for now, they had each other. And that was something to hold on to.